Welcome to our super exciting live show. The upcoming plot will leave you speechless in this lively mansion. In the luxurious villa, family and friends were ready to celebrate. Turns out they were planning a surprise party. The neighbours enthusiastically greeted. The food and music created a vibe that slightly calmed Anna's restless heart, but when she learned she was Jack's fiancée, the party suddenly became even livelier. After all, Grandma was turning 90. Talk about good news. But Jack's dad wasn't having it. He thought his son should bring back a shiny achievement, not a fiancée who works as an editor. The moment they met, the vibe was tense. Then Jack boldly announced in front of relatives and neighbours that he was marrying Annie, and everyone showered them with blessings. But this fake couple fought again. Jack's ex appeared, forcing them to act out their love story. They had to show love in public, navigating an awkward welcome, then Grandma and Mom's plans for days ahead. They were forced to share a room, and Grandma pulled out a blanket from the closet, claiming it had special magic to make their feelings closer. But these two actually didn't sleep together at all. Jack opted for the floor, giving Annie plenty of safe space, yet she still felt a bit tense. It was her first time sharing a room with a guy, until sleep overtook her rationality, then knowingly drifted into dreamland. At noon, Annie was jolted awake by the phone, but the flashing signal cut the call. She didn't want to affect her work, so she had to dash outside to take the call, not realizing her pet dog had sneaked out, and was spotted by an eagle in the tree, snagged the next. Annie desperately threw her phone and saved the dog, but then the eagle swooped back down and snatched Anna's phone. To Grandma and Mom, the scene was just Anna's sweet and cute side, nothing like how Jack described her as cold. Jack woke up to see that knowing Annie didn't like pets, Jack found her to avoid a bad impression, only to learn an eagle had snatched her phone. Looking at the anxious Annie, Jack comforted her. "It'll help you buy a new phone." Right after saying that, he pulled her into his arms. Then, gazing at her hand, he softly said, "Touch mine, then place your fingers on your face, okay? Good." Then he started talking to himself, gently. All right, did we wash our hands? Great, what a good baby." While Grandma was taking Annie to the town for some fun, Jack seized the chance to talk to his dad, but their relationship still had no hope for a fix. Dad, nearing retirement, wanted Jack to take over the family business and manage it well, but Jack wasn't interested in being the boss. He dreamed of being an editor, yet after 3 years, still just an assistant, leaving Dad even more confused about Jack's aspirations. The two argued heatedly, each sticking to their own views, deepening the divide yet again, and Jack released his pent-up frustration ownership. Mom happened to witness the scene and quickly understood what was going on, so she went up to Dad to complain. Wise Annie excused herself but learned secrets during Jack's parents' fight about his 3-year NY absence. Was to escape his father's control. He wanted a free life, not to be forced into inheriting the family business. If it wasn't for this fake marriage, he might never have returned home. That night, she proactively shared her story with Jack. Having lost her parents early on, she drifted far from home to survive. Yet, despite her dazzling achievements, the void in her heart remained. She longed for joy but had no one to share it, nowhere to express sorrow. Remembering her parents' funerals, she never kept flowers. Called the Ice Queen, she'd sneak to cry, then pretend to be strong, hiding her softness. Dressed in a cold demeanour, she remained a successful woman. Jack, silent, realised Annie also had a vulnerable side. But with Jack's comical singing, the two hearts that once seemed distant began to embrace in the delicate notes. The next morning, an early rising Annie, perhaps due to blossoming love, began caring about her appearance. But just outside the door came her mother's voice. To avoid exposing their secret transaction, Annie hurriedly woke up the sleeping Jack, continuing the act of love. Fortunately, their exaggerated poses didn't arouse Mom's suspicion. Jack's dad and Grandma followed. Tomorrow was a big day, not just Grandma's 90th birthday, but also a great chance for their wedding. This undoubtedly broke their original plan. Getting a marriage certificate was the real goal, not an actual wedding. But Grandma insisted on seeing her grandson marry in her lifetime, to avoid regrets after passing. To avoid disappointing Grandma, they agreed to an early wedding. After family left, Jack worried about the lies being exposed. He feared Grandma couldn't handle the exposed lie, while Annie remained calm, planning to fulfill her wish before the divorce in New York. Even though she claimed she wouldn't grow old together, she didn't realize that the heartfelt exchange last night had already made her care about Jack. As the wedding approached, the day to part began to speed up. When Jack took Annie to the town to retrieve her phone, Annie often distractedly saw Jack chat with his ex, sparking suspicion in his heart, yet she could only repeatedly remind herself. This fake show served mutual needs. Alas, it was self-deception. Her heart was filled with Grandma's love. She tried on the dress Grandma had handmade in her youth. It felt a bit roomy, yet it filled Annie with a long-lost warmth. Grandma took out the family heirloom necklace and draped it over Annie, the reflection evoking a warm guilt. She believed her lies would hurt Grandma and wanted to reject this gesture, but seeing Grandma's hopeful eyes, she ultimately held back her unspoken words as guilt and despair weighed heavily on her chest. She hurried to the dock, not waiting for Jack to react, jumping into the boat solo, braving the depths of the sea. Enveloped by love and care, she felt guilty for approaching this family with lies, unable to face her own cruelty.